It's quite dark where you are, but that may be something you've chosen.
I know. I don't. No, it's not.
That's a little
Is that
better.
better?
Yeah, that is.
But that's
Yeah,
my
or
eyes.
somewhere split where it's not going in your eyes.
Let me see if I can.
Don't worry, it's not the end of the world. If you, yeah, but split the difference, it
How's
just
that?
helps a little. Yeah, it helps a little bit. Otherwise, you look a little bit
Okay.
shady.
Okay, I am shady, but no one needs to know about it.
Right. Okay, so we're live now. I've got that going. Hopefully that'll all be all right. It's weird. I've got this weird MIDI bug that's just started creeping in, so that when I move certain faders on my device, it just crashes the MIDI driver, and I lose MIDI control of the system.
What do you use for changing all that?
Sorry, for what?
For changing the cameras and whatever you do there.
I just use this guy. So that's the MIDI, but it's been like that for years.
Okay.
So it's just a nano control, and it's not this nano control because this happened last week, and I just deleted a couple of shortcuts.
I love this is what I use. I love it.
Ah, okay.
I take it with me everywhere. It's really cool.
Very useful.
It has a kind of a feel to it, rather than just being kind of just a bunch of plastic.
Yeah, I remember reviewing that. I looked at that years ago. I remember reviewing. That's the different one. That's the Mark II, isn't it? Which is
That's the Mark
better.
II. The Mark I was pretty crappy.
Yeah, it was. No denying that.
But this one is really good.
Okay, that seems to be working. Jolly good. So let me get my live bit back. I don't need to play that. That's paused. So that's happening. So we should have our people with us. Gosh, we'll have streamed, when it comes to the end of this week, we'll have streamed like 4.5, 5 hours of video. So we did 3.5 on... hey, Matt. Not hearing you. Oh, yeah, I'm nearly hearing you.
1 2 1 2 1 2.
Yeah,
one,
that's
two.
great.
That good?
Hi, Matt.
Yeah.
Hello, mate. How you
Sounds like
doing?
you're-
All right. Yeah, good.
Excellent. So we can go that way up. Cool.
Just going to remove this GoPro, which is sticking out of my head.
Yeah, it's like I've got a sort of slightly demonic horn type of vibe there.
I'll be back in a sec.
Oh, that's interesting. What have you got on your USB bus, Matt? Oh, it's gone. There was a sort of... Have you got like a modular just doing some DC stuff into one of the channels that you haven't maybe noticed? That's it.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the stereo output of my main Mackie going into this little mixer I'm using. I thought everything's muted, but I think there's a little bit of bleed that comes out the headphones on this Mackie, even when it's all down.
Right.
So that's
okay.
that's what you would have been getting.
It probably was. Lovely to see you in person on Saturday.
Yes, and you. Well done. I was going to say this
fun.
on the show, but yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Cool. Right. So we are nearly at, oh no, well we've got 8 minutes. We're actually running really early, so that's pretty good. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I didn't have quite so much to do, because I know I'd have actually sort of been present for a lot of it rather than sort of elsewhere mentally. So
yeah,
but
I'm sure there's a lot of people who would be interested in getting involved and bit of work experience and learning about how all this is put together.
yeah, well, we did have some help actually. We had the guys from DBS. We had several people from DBS. We also had Maisie, who has been in helping here before. She's doing a media studies course, and she came along. She switched all the library stuff, the Liam side of things, and there was so there were people. It's just not me. When you've got a stream engineer and stage manage slash produce the affair, it does tend to take it out of you. So yeah, there needs to be a sort of overseer who was just sort of making sure that the person on the door, did they have a drink, were they getting peeved at sitting there for hours, that kind of stuff. You just sort of need to take care of those things and just have time to try and be nice to people. Rather than short and and immediate. Well, I'm just loading my recorder a sec. I didn't quite get that one going. Now there we go. That's good. It's been a busy week because we had somebody in yesterday for filming, so we had to put all the studio back together again on Monday, and then we got someone in for filming tomorrow and on Friday. So it's kind of been it's pretty full on.
Wow,
a full on week.
Yes, yeah, it has been not so much for me. I've been nursing a cold for the past few days. I've only just kind of come back to life. So
I think Yoad said the same thing actually.
Yeah, I just got it. I'm hoping it's not going to develop into anything.
I had that thing where it was the night before the event. I started to feel really rough. I was lying in bed feeling really sweaty, and I thought, if I'm not 100%, then it's going to be a nightmare tomorrow. But in fact, what had happened was our central heating, the thermostat had lost connection with the boiler, so it just left itself on all night. So it was actually not a temperature; it was just actually generally really hot, which is kind of funny. But it did mean I got absolutely no sleep the night before the gig. Which was,
well, you did very well. No one could tell, and you was a true professional.
Well, it was. I think the thing about it is when you do that stuff, there's a certain amount of autopilot. I mean, as long as you've because we planned hard, really hard. So there wasn't going to be any. Oh, we forgot about something really important that we had to fix on the fly. And the only thing I would say is we need another person sort of between the live desk and the stream to make sure that all the audio is getting into the stream, because that's the thing that's hard to monitor when you're switching cameras or you're in fact on stage. And I think that suffered a little bit. So that would be the only thing I would probably change about it, because obviously if you've got some people on stage and the sound isn't happening, then it really does affect the experience for the viewers, because there were we had 300 odd viewers for the stream most of the time, plus the people in the room. People in the room were okay because they were there, but that sort of that's a lesson learned.
I guess we was talking about this on the way home in the car with Chris, who played. Is just how big you want to take this, and because you could scale it up, it seems a very popular event. Everyone was well into it, and it was so rich with stuff. About more live performances, or doing a little tour of it, or making it bigger, or it depends. Yeah,
well, making it bigger would make. You're right. I mean, the amount of work it would take to do it in a bigger venue is negligible. It's just longer cables, effectively. Yeah. But it would make more sense, because the only thing that we did find is I thought people would be partying a bit more, so we didn't make we were relying a little bit on the bar to top up the expense of putting on the event, so it would kind of be a roughly break even, and that didn't happen, so it ended up actually making a bit of a loss. So if you can increase the ticket sales, then obviously that would be a different vibe, but I don't know how. I mean, because I suppose we only started selling tickets about 3 weeks beforehand. I can't remember now, so yeah.
Well, it goes to show that the community's there for this. People are well into this kind of thing, as is evident for the amount of people that join us online on a Wednesday for this. And I think people really value that as a place to come together and sort of geek out and get out your studio and be together. So it's definitely cool. It's definitely scalable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, now we've done it. I mean, I think part of the reason that it cost a bunch to put on is because we had to buy quite a lot of equipment to sort of to hang things off and now we've got all of that. It should be relatively straightforward. It's just that those are the sort of things, the setups that cost, because we didn't want to completely strip out this studio, because it would have just been. I mean, putting it back together again afterwards was surprisingly, it worked quite well actually, which made me feel like, in fact, it ended up being tidier because what we've done is routed cables up over, and rather than have them all on the floor. So it's actually, you know, it feels like there is a benefit. We will feel the benefit.
Yes.
But yeah, it was good fun. Right, I think we could do a show. What the hell if we go 2 minutes early? Let's break with tradition and do something a little bit radical, shall we? So stand by, everybody. Here we come. There we go. Hello, welcome to Sonic Talk episode 560. And after 3.5 hours of streaming from our live event on Saturday, I hope you all saw that. I then mess up the beginning of this hour-long stream. But there we go. Thanks for sticking in there. Sonic Talk is a podcast to do with music technology, software, controllers, synthesizers, drum machines, studio work, live production, all of those kind of things. I mean, lots and lots of different aspects to making music with electronic devices or not, or acoustic instruments, or however you want it to be. And this is our weekly show. If you've not seen it before, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel where you'll be able to get notifications when we go live every Wednesday around about 4 p.m. UK time. And this show is supported by Isotope and also Synchro Arts. In fact, Isotope will be providing a prize, which is Isotope RX7, fantastic audio restoration. And Synchro Arts will be letting you know about some exclusive deals that they've got online. So please do stay tuned for both of those messages. We will now introduce our artists. I'll start with you, Mr. Matthew Hodson, who I met in real life, IRL, which I'm using. It's apparently what the kids say. And you came down on Saturday, which was lovely to have you. How are you, Matt?
I'm good. Like I said, I've just been nursing a cold, so I'm sort of back in action for the first time. So I'm glad I've made this. Yes. Great to meet you as well on Saturday as well, Nick. And I was mentioning this before we went on air, but well done to you and the crew for putting on such a great event. And it was great to meet you. Everyone also behind Sonicstate as well, who you don't see necessarily here. You usually see Nick a lot, but also to meet Gaz and Ty and meet all the bands, and also everyone who hangs out in the chat rooms and things like that. Quite a few of you got talking to. So yeah, it was a great event. Well done, Nick. And
well, I wish I could take
nice relaxing Sunday.
I wish I could take all the credit, but sadly I can't. Well, no, great. I mean, it's great that I can't. Andy did a lot of work behind the scenes. It's sort of me and him put the thing together, and also Chris and the people at DBS Music. You know, fantastic. They provided crew, and they were really helpful. Without them, it would have been almost impossible to do, just because extra hands and bodies and stuff. But yeah, great fun. And for those of you perhaps wondering where it's all gone, we are now sort of going through, because there were talks in the afternoon. We got a talk from Dave Spears with his OB8 voice. We had Ty Owen with his orchestral setup, which is well worth watching. We'll get that online as soon as we can as well. Also, Adrian Utley and Will Gregory. Will brought an MS-20, Adrian brought his Mini Moog, and then we obviously had the bands, Battery Operated Orchestra, and Chris Calcutt, who was really good, actually. So it's all going to be coming back online. We're just going to sweeten it up, because the thing about when you're doing it live, you don't always get everything quite right, and we can go back and finesse it a bit and get it sounding just so, and all of those things. So yeah. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's say hello also to Mr. Yoad Navo, who we haven't seen for ages. Yoad, of course, Waves developer. We'll be talking a little bit about it later. Also producer, songwriter, mix engineer. Currently backed by what looks like a wall of platinum and gold discs there.
Yeah, I'm here in my crib in Tel Aviv.
Okay.
My monthly visit here, and this time I got caught by the weather a little bit. So, but I'll try to make it.
Cool. It sounds like you got a bit of a cold there. I think we're just having a little bit networky kind of stops and starts there, but I'm sure it will even out. So, okay. Well, this week there is some news. I mean, it's very easy. We could just sit here and I could sit here and talk about our event for the entire time, but it wouldn't be all that interesting if you'd already watched it. So let's get on with some stuff. In fact, the first thing we're going to get on with is the news of the new Waves Flow Motion DX or FM synth. So let's play the little the video for that.
Hear me, no one sees me, no one. Hear me, no one sees me, no one. I'm off the radar.
So this is a new FM hybrid FM synth with FM and subtractive synthesis. Loads of 4 LFO, 16-step snapshot sequencer, built-in note arpeggiator, studio quality effects, NKS ready. Nice clean interface. Now, I recognise this artist. I'm pretty sure I saw her at WOMAD, but I can't remember the life of me what her name is. I know she's from Israel, I believe, but I'm sure Yoad will be able to fill me in.
No one sees me, no one. Hear me, no one sees me, no one. I'm off the radar.
Yeah, so Flow Motion. Now, I'm going to come to you first, Yoad, because I'm suspecting that this is that thing that you keep saying you've been working on all the time you've been on the show you can't talk about. This is it, right?
This is it, yeah. This has been in the making for the past 3.5 years or so, depending on who you ask. But yeah, we've been working really, really hard on that, and it's really exciting that it's finally got released, and we're really happy with how it came out.
So tell me just quickly, who was the artist? I couldn't find it in the notes, and I did see her at WOMAD, and I thought, oh, it was really good.
You know what? I should really know, and I can't remember. I do know, but I can't remember her name for the life of me right now.
Someone will tell us. Hey, yeah. Chat room. Anybody can tell us. So tell us a bit about the Flow Motion then. What was it that kind of got you? Because your opinion is obviously caveat. You're involved in it. So, but tell me what got you started on it.
Basically, we wanted to, the FM synthesis has been always kind of a bit of a mystery. There are people who know how to operate the DX7 and people who don't. And I think the majority of people or producers these days, belong to the second half. So we wanted to basically bring it all in one screen, so you can modulate. Basically, you have 4 operators which you can modulate freely in each direction between each of them. So one can modulate your sine wave, but you can also hear. So you know how DX7 works with set kind of topography. And here it's just flexible, so you can build your algorithms on the screen, and it makes it very accessible and very flexible. Because, for instance, you can modulate one operator with the other operator at the same time. You can operate the second operator so you can get like
feedback.
Very interesting feedback. Yeah, obviously each one of the operators has its own feedback built in, so that's another kind of modulation source. But I think that the highlight of and it's at the same time it's 4 oscillators, 4 really good oscillators, if I may say so myself, and it's basically a subtractive synth, which is like a kind of big Moog, if you want a mini Moog, if you want to look at it that way. So it has all the elements of a subtractive synth with 4 oscillators.
I've got a screenshot here which I'll throw up while you're talking, because that's right. There we go. Right, so that gives you access. Okay, interesting. And you also sent me a snapshot sequencer, which is also kind of interesting. Do you mind if I play a bit of that video?
So, maybe let me just say a couple of words about it. Basically, what it is 16 presets of the whole synth. So 16 presets as if they show on your hard drive or whatever. And you can just sequence between them freely. So you can load, you have 16 slots. To each one you load a preset, or you copy a preset current buffer. And then it just runs through the sequences smoothly, and it can do it at audio rates as well. So in this little demo I did this morning, it's basically a sawtooth, just playing 16 notes, and then I record my actions into the snapshot sequencer. So if you can show it now, so everything I do gets recorded, and then it will play after.
Wow.
So you can basically record your effects, your envelopes, your LFO rates, whatever in real time.
That's great.
Yeah, that's the thing that I kind of thought, oh, that's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, it's almost like kind of, it's got that per step electron kind of vibe to it, hasn't it? It's got that, what do you call it? It feels a bit like that. Yeah, parameter locking almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, you can do a lot more crazier stuff with it, because you can load different presets. This is the same sawtooth running on each one of the 16 presets, which I basically modulated or changed in real time, and it got stored. So whenever the sequencer runs on the slots or on the steps, it records anything you do on the screen.
How many channels of that are there?
16.
So 16 slots?
No. It's 16 slots, but there are no limit to the channels. Every parameter on the synth is
at the same time. Wow.
At the same time. So basically, and then you basically go between the different presets. Now, if you change it in real time, you have a record mode. So everything you do on the screen will get recorded as soon as you're on that step, if you know what I mean. So if you make a continuous move on the filter, say, it will program the 16 presets that's been playing to that cutoff range or whatever parameter you move on the screen. And but that's one way of working with it. The other way is to just load presets from your menu and populate each one of the steps with
a different preset. And
then you can do, so you can say, I want to play preset 1 twice, and then go to preset 7, and then go to preset 4 for 4 times, you know. So you can build a sequence out of the different presets. There are 2 things that aren't included in that process, which are the arpeggio and note sequencer, which are, so you can still play your arpeggio or note sequencer while the presets are changing. The other thing is the detune and the, you know, monopoly mode, which is kind of global. The unison and the amount of detune and spread on the unison are fixed, because they're kind of part of the you know, the sonics of the whole set, and also they. But the rest of it is fully, fully automatable.
That's an interesting idea, isn't it? That is an interesting idea. I'll have to check it out. I mean, one of the things that does come across, I mean, you know, I don't want to make it too much of an advert for your product, even though your input's always appreciated. It's actually on offer, isn't it? It's like 39 quid at the moment, or 39 bucks. So it looks like a bit of a deal, down from 99. Yeah, that does. I know, Matt, you know, you do a lot of FM with your actual, we've talked about FM on your side of things. You know, you do that with your system, but this looks like it could be pretty cool for extending that range a little bit.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things about FM synthesis is the learning curve on it. When I first started using FM synths, I didn't really know what was going on. You was usually presented with a very complex GUI that was just hard to understand actually what was going on. You're just turning dials basically. But on here, what I like about this is that learning curve's kind of been broken down a little bit. You've got a very nice, simple user interface for oscillators. But what's great about that is not only can you just see what's going on with the 4 oscillators, but how each one is modulating each one and what direction that's going in by the looks of it, just from that main interface. So there's a lot of thought that's gone into about the usability and also the learning and understanding of using a synthesizer like this. So hats off to them for that. I think it sounds great as well, but this whole recording motion thing is just phenomenal. You know, it's just amazing. It's these kind of things that can really take your music and your level of integration with your software or your hardware, these kind of things, and just really make them your own. You know, I think just the ability to kind of automate and have all those things going on like that is just absolutely fantastic. It's kind of why I got into the modular world.
It's an interesting idea, isn't it? Particularly, what formats is it available in? Let's have a look. You'll be able to tell me while I look at it.
All the usual suspects, yeah.
Is it VST? Is it VST3 or is there VST2 available as well?
VST3.
Okay. I was just going to say, we've got another topic there where it would be very interesting to load that in, but I think that only works with VST2. But okay, cool. Yeah, you can get that now. It was launched. When does the sale end? Do you know, Johan?
No, I don't.
It's a Cyber Monday deal, so it's Tuesday today, and it's still saying it's on. So I'm guessing some indeterminate amount of time, but I might have to check that.
Cyber Monday just runs for until they say, that's about it.
Forever.
I think that's how it works now. I think I might grab this one. You did ask what people have been buying for Black Friday and stuff like that, and this one has slipped through the net for me. I went and bought. I got XL by Output. That's that synthesizer. It does a lot of vocal pads and that kind of thing. Yeah. That was 25% off, I think. So I went for that. I've been keeping my eye on that for a long time. But this for 35 quid, and it's Waves quality, and I can understand it. It's definitely a winner for me. I like the look of this.
So yeah, well, that was actually, I noticed this is the first thing I went to, but in fact, I did wonder, but every year it seems to kind of ramp up more slowly and ramp away, the sales. I don't know that we did run a little bit of a live blog, which I'm normally a lot more on, but obviously with our event running exactly over the weekend, it was really hard to stay on top of any deals, and I didn't get a chance really to sort of think, I might get one of those. I don't know if anybody did do any Black Friday buys. And I'm guessing with the launch of this, you were probably a little busy and preoccupied yourself to click that mouse, right?
Yeah, kind of. Although, whenever I go to Waves, one of our product managers or who I say is always costing me money, because whenever we sit down together, we always talk about new plugins and stuff like that, and I always end up buying something as we speak. But this time, my visit fell on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, but I just got the Sound Toys bundle. Sound Toys 5, I think, which is really nice, and I never had it, and it's just good. It's a really good preset machine. When you listen to each of the plugins together, they're fine. I mean, they're great, but for me, like in a delay, I really like Replica by Native Instrument, because it brings something different to the table. But with the Sound Toy stuff, when you combine and when you just go through the presets of the multi, I don't remember what they call it, the multi-rack or the
effect, I think that's what it's called. Yeah,
big effect rack. You have some really nice presets, and it's something that you can throw on a vocal or on a guitar or something like that. It's funny because I think it kind of coincides with the fact that I consciously trying to minimize the amount of auxiliary usage in my mixes. So
Right.
basically, using auxiliary stems from the lack of processing power, whether it be analog or whatever. You know, sometimes you would share a reverb between different tracks and things like that. But I find these days I rather just, you know, kind of finish the track there and then, and I know that it's ready. And then the other benefit of it is that you're then able to export stems very quickly.
Oh, what, by
I
putting the
finish
plugin
mix,
on the actual track itself, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's always the problem when you deliver stems. What happens with all the auxiliary buses? And then, so I try to use different ones for vocals and different ones for guitars, different effect returns and things
that
like
makes
that.
sense.
But then if the label wants to, for some reason, or you know, for the live show or something, you want to take the guitars out or something, but then you end up with some leftovers on the reverb track or delays tracks, and when you put everything on the inserts, then you eliminate that problem. So so I think that, you know, maybe it's kind of a good reason for me to buy a package like that, which allows me to just throw in a plugin which does a lot of things, and you can just go through presets quickly and tweak them, and you're done.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I haven't done stems like that for a long time, but yeah, that was always a drag because you'd run by and you go, oh no, there's the whatever that I thought I'd muted. I know, Matthew. Did you? I know you bought a few things, didn't you?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, the XL by Output.
Yeah.
Just a really great contact player thing. Does vocal loops.
I got it as well.
Melody. You got that? Yeah. It's great to throw in there when you've got deep bass lines going on, and then you suddenly have this kind of very light ambient
sort of ethereal,
vocals.
Yeah.
Really ethereal, very nice, and very playable.
Again, it's one of those kind of nice and ready things. You know,
it's like it's like that,
some
Output
voices or that.
Yeah, Output does that stuff. Definitely.
Yeah, they have a really nice soundscape to all their products, actually.
I'm feeling a bit left out. I didn't really do anything, so I kind of I need to find.
Yeah, but you get new gear. You get new gear all the time.
Well, I have got what I've got here for review. The next thing that's in the channel, as it were, for me to look at is this, the Erebus 3, which I have to say on initial inspection has that Erebus thing going on and some. So that's going to be a lot of fun to look at. Obviously, we just did the Roland AX Edge. I have to be careful because I can't remember whether any of the stuff that we've filmed has got a deadline or anything. So I should probably shut up about that.
I came away with this from Bristol.
Oh, did you?
I popped into their modular shop. Elevator Sounds, I think it was. Great bunch in there. And he was playing around with this, and he was running the drum brute through it. And this is just cracking. It's by Otto
Biscuit. Yeah. Chris Calcutt used it on his set.
He did. He had it in the car, and I was asking about it, and the guy just happened to be playing with this in the shop. And it's stereo in and out. You've got a sidechain as well because it does compression. It's got 3 different types of distortion, 2 different filters. It does gating. Wow. And what was really nice about this was he was running things like kick drums through it, and you wasn't losing that low end. In fact, it was just adding more punch, more character. The way it played around with the transients on the compression was really good. You've got presets on it as well, and the sidechain input. And I was just sonically blown away by it. Because I've been looking for something like this for a while. It's supposed to be, it's got a similar vibe to the Electron Heat, but more extreme, I think. Yeah, that's what I've been told.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Can you fit it in a Eurorack?
No.
It's
a bit too big. But to be honest, all of my effects are guitar pedals. I mean, I've got the Strymon and Eventide stuff here. And when I go out and play live, the idea is I close one of these cases and I stuff the guitar pedals in my bag. And that's me for playing live, basically.
Cool.
So it's a shame, though. I wonder, maybe he's thinking about getting into the modular world. The guy who makes these, I think they're made on pretty small runs, though. But who knows?
Yeah, I know Robbie's really keen on the Otto stuff. He uses Otto Biscuit and stuff. But speaking of sales, this is a great segue. What do you think about this? We can run this little ad for Synchro Arts. Basically, they've got a deal on until December 16th where you can save 30% off Revoice Pro 4, 37.5% off Vocaline Pro 4, and 30% off the Vocaline Project 3, which are great plugins for aligning stuff up and kind of creating thickness and duality for vocals. Vocal Align, obviously, not only is it good for sung stuff, but you could use it for aligning like overdubs. So if you're doing ADR, that side of things, it's a very impressive piece of software. We did a review of it a while back. So if you want to check that out, you want to head over to synchroarts.com, and the deal runs, like I say, till December 16th. So don't forget. Okay, right. Let's have a look. Oh, this, yeah. These come up every once in a while, don't they? Sort of sample pad sets. I think the last one that was really vibey was the Roland SPD X. This is the new Alesis sample pad Strike, which is getting a multi-pad sample player and also recorder. It's got an audio recorder. It's got what looks like, because Alesis and Akai are the same kind of host company. It looks like they've maybe grabbed a bit of MPC love from making this. So this has 9 velocity sensitive pads, 32 gigs of internal storage, a colour display, built-in loop recorder, 2-channel audio interface, onboard effects processor, main and aux output, so you can use it. It's got trigger inputs as well, so you could have foot switches, hi-hats, bass drum pedals, that kind of stuff. And these come up once in a while, and you always get this when a band, for the first time, or perhaps the first time they want to start incorporating electronic beats or electronic percussion into their rigs. You go for whatever the current version of this is, and it looks like Alesis have hit it out the park with this, because it's got quite a lot of real-time stuff, and the fact that you can sample directly into it and loop directly into it and store and record via external USB storage. It looks like a pretty cool thing. I mean, this is the sort of thing, I don't know whether you ever get asked, but quite often we get asked, I'm going to go live, you have to sort of say, well, try this, try that. I remember going back to the SPD8, which was just the trigger and an S1000. That's how long ago. So this looks pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe it is.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, yes. Sorry, I was reviewing the specs again.
I think it's about $700, so it's going to be about probably $600 or $700. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I point people to. One of the many hats that I wear is I get bands and artists coming to me and saying, Matt, we've made this amazing electronic album. We now need to go and tour it and play it live. How do we deconstruct this and go out and play this? Usually I point them to things like Ableton and SPD pads and things like this. But this almost negates the need for a laptop. Once you've got things loaded into this, which you can just do via USB, a USB key, load your samples into.
You can play stems, yeah. You can trigger stems.
You're just ready to go. You've got your stems, you've got your looping, you've got effects in there. Did you also know the lights on the pad? So on each pad, you've got a light strip, which you can change the color, but it actually also will play along like you get your clip in Ableton. So when it gets to the end of the loop, it goes back to the beginning. So you can visually see where you are with each loop on the pad.
Oh, that's neat. No, I didn't. That's a neat one.
That's a really good idea.
Just little things like that is just, I think, just makes performance things, it just allows you to relate to things a lot more. You're hitting stuff away and you're like, oh, where are we? Are we on the first bar, the second bar, whatever? Visually see these things. Or you can change them actually to have them as visual LED. So if you've got a drum loop playing, you can actually see the transients kind of.
Oh, really? Oh, neat. Yeah. I didn't check that. You've obviously done a lot more research than I have. So, well, good on you, Matt. But that sort of thing, like I say, is really, really useful, because there's nothing worse. And also, there was a mode on the pads where you can start a loop or stop it. So it's got a sort of on-off. So that's going to be really helpful because there's that awful moment where, you know, you go, oops, and you know you got 8 bars and it's out of time, or maybe, you know, maybe you got a bar and it's out of time, so you can get it and hit it next time rather than have it looping around. So that could be pretty useful.
Really cool. So you got toggle on and off, looping. I mean, it's a big step up. Oasis do all sorts of drum pads, don't they? We use the little sample pad 4 when we play live. This is such a big step up from it. And I know a lot of percussionists and music producers out there, a lot of them on my course, actually. This is definitely going to be very attractive to them. It's a higher price, but like I say, it negates the need for taking out that powerful laptop on the road. Once you've got everything loaded.
And it's a sound card as well.
Yeah, oh, that's true. It's a sound card as well. That could be pretty handy. And one thing I did notice is you can also program the pads to be specific shortcuts, not just sample triggers. They can do stuff like initiate a loop recording or reset or tap tempo, that kind of stuff, which I guess you could use for tap delay time and stuff. This looks good. I mean, there is usually only, you know, like you say, I'm trying to think what it is. It's usually the Roland stuff, isn't it? Or sometimes you see the Yamaha pads, but these things, lots of people use this stuff.
Yeah, well, Alice's have always been good with the drum sounds, you know, from the days of the D4, which was a really, really cool piece of gear because, you know, it allows you to have 8 triggers and it translated them pretty well to MIDI pretty quick. And the sounds were good as well. So I'm quite curious to hear the actual sounds, but it looks like it's built with the kind of push to you know, sort of school, which is nice. It's quite modern. It looks solid, and I would really like to try it, definitely.
I think the thing that'd be interesting also is to see, you know, what the MIDI capabilities are with it, because I mean, obviously, with all those external triggers, if you can have foot switches and all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
you can have 3 dual triggers, which is really great because you can have hi-hat and 2 snares, or ride and snare and hat. And I'm actually debating whether I still want to keep my you know, my full kit, my or whether to go for something like that. And I was looking at some drum pads, but this seems like a really good way to go, because you can keep your cymbals and hi-hat and just use that for kick, snare, and toms or something like that. And you can have a bass drum pedal, going into it. So it's a little
compact electronic busking kit. The only problem is you have with that is then you need to carry this massive, great drum monitor wedge along with you so you can hear all your stuff the way you like it.
No, I'm talking about studio work. You know, for sometimes when I do writing sessions, I don't necessarily use the live drums, even though it's nice to just step into the live room and they're all mic'd up and connected, and to just go in and do a take and edit bits of it. But I think that this is pretty neat because you can have it just here, and you can get a vibe on your drums.
That's an interesting point. I mean, because obviously having your own studio, you would have a mic'd kit set up, but it must be quite difficult to. Well, I mean, not quite difficult, but I mean, if it's the same kit and the same mics, and the point of having it set up is so that you don't have to set it up each time, doesn't it end up sounding largely the same each time, unless you kind of retune the drums or move the mics? Or
yeah, I mean, it's quite useful because sometimes I would just go in and record. I have a nice set of hats and cymbals, which I really like the sound of anyway. And if I was a proper drummer, I would have those anyway and would have my sound. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of okay with that. But when I need different types of rooms, I go to other studios, and that's why I'm considering not having a drum kit altogether, but having something like that.
Right.
Because I think it's quite.
I suppose
useful.
You could always, and the thing is, then you
have just here.
Yeah, I mean, you could also always reamp it if you're going to a place and you've got a nice room. Just send it out into the room and mic the room up. I mean, we've talked about that before, haven't we?
Yeah, but it never sounds. You can never get it. It almost makes more sense to and IR, because then
Right.
by doing that with a sweep rather than transient stuff on the speakers, which will distort and change the phase and you know the
Right. Okay.
it's
Very
much
interesting.
easier for a speaker to play back a sine wave, a drum hit. Than
Right.
a
So
drum
you
hit.
just get
and
a,
then
a
if
reflection.
you capture the room, then you can use convolution reverb in a. It never sounds right when you reamp drums, because you can. It always sounds like you ran it through a guitar amp cabinet. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It has this coloration, especially on the transients, which is a dead giveaway. for
Okay.
that.
No, I never realised that. That's an interesting point. Okay. Well, I think this is available now. Like we say, Strike multipad with all of that stuff, $6.99. So it could be, you know, the next thing that you'll see on stage. I mean, I guess that it's going to be down, because at least this is sort of mid-price brand, isn't it? It's not like the high end that you get with some of the other things, but so it'll just, time will tell to see how it stands up to that kind of abuse, because effectively you're going to be hitting it with sticks all the time. So, but yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, let me see. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just do the isotope competition. So before we do that, well, actually, if we do the competition, then we'll start with this. So I'll just bring a message of isotope RX7.
Continues to be the industry standard and leader in audio repair for music and post-production. And with RX7, we've introduced groundbreaking new ways to quickly and easily fix and manipulate audio. Take the game-changing Repair Assistant, an intelligent helper that can detect noise, clipping, clicks, hum, and more. Also new in RX7 is Music Rebalance, a powerful source separation tool. Drums too loud? Vocals not loud enough? Let's fix that. You can also create instrumental versions of songs by removing the vocal elements. You can now alter the pitch without affecting the timing of your audio, and conversely, alter the time without affecting the pitch with the new variable time and variable pitch modules. Using the new dialogue contour, you can improve the performance of a line or even create a new performance by altering the pitch contour of the dialogue, therefore adjusting the intonation of the speaker, and introducing Dialogue Dereverb, a module powered by machine learning to reduce the presence of reverberations around dialogue. RX7, a new frontier in audio repair.
And you can check that out over at isotope.com. And we have a competition for this week. We're looking for the hashtag repair-edit. I was going to make it repair and edit, and then I checked quickly whether or not the ampersand was an allowable hashtag character, and it's not. So therefore it's repair-edit and the hashtag repair RX7. So the hashtag repair-edit, the hashtag RX7 to @Sonicstate and @Isotope Inc. on Twitter. So @Isotope Inc., @Sonicstate, hashtag repair-edit and the hashtag RX7. You'll be entered to win a copy of Isotope's RX7. In fact, we have a winner for last week, and that is, let me see, this person called Nan State, Nan_State. Magic Audio Fixer is for me this week, RX7 from Isotope. And yes, so you did actually win. So congratulations. If you want to get in touch, you have won a copy of Isotope's RX7, and we'll get them on the case to send it over to you as soon as you let us know what your email and all of that business is. So that's awesome. Right, okay, let's get back onto this. This might tie in another interesting topic. This is, again, VCV Rack, which is a perennial kind of, keeps coming back because they keep just improving it and they keep adding things. And they've just added something called VST Host. VST plugins. So it's really a fascinating concept, this. So you can now load a module which will load a VST host, and then you can also run up to 16 MIDI controls in there from CVs or from other modules such as LFOs, which is what they're doing here. They're running, I think that looks like Arturia SEM, VSEM. I'll turn it up a bit so you can hear. So this is all part of a VCV Rack patch. VCV Host is what it's called, and it's the native one. It's a $30 upgrade. So, I mean, if you're not familiar with VCV Rack, it's free, ultimately. You can get hundreds and hundreds of modules for it, which don't cost anything, but then some of them are premium and uploaded, which you pay for an upgrade. And this is one of the ones by the host company themselves. And they do this to help fund the continual development of this, because it's an open source, or I believe it's open source, community. And it seems to be working really. I'm going to come to you first, Matt, because I know you're big into modular. I mean, do you guys use VCV racks? I can't remember whether we've talked about this before.
Yeah, we do. We currently have VCV rack implemented, and we use it in the course when we're teaching at BIM. Mainly because I think it was kind of one of the first ones to come out from that bunch. Although maybe Softtube made it quicker, but VCV, you know, it's free for the majority of it. There's just so many modules you can just download and use. It's a great gateway to modular, but I do warn anyone using it, you know, it is a slippery slope, because once you get into that world, you got to be careful, because you start getting into the hardware. It's these are getting better and better. You've got Cherry Audio with voltage modular. Just started playing around with that. Obviously VCV, and you've got Softtube, which are the main kind of let's make it look like Euro Rack and use modular. Of course, you've got reactor blocks as well, which we use quite a lot as well, which has got a whole different kind of
yeah, I mean, the VCV rack is a bit more, you know, you do need to be a bit more kind of a tinkerer to get the most of it. But this VCV host, that's a really cool idea. I mean, it only works with VST2 plugins, unfortunately, so we can't get yours in there yet, Yoad, but you never know. Yeah,
it's I didn't think this was a big deal until I started reading into it. I just thought it just meant you can load your VSTs into it. But the fact that you can then, by the looks of it, pretty much modulate any parameter within that VST you've loaded up. I was just like, oh, hang on a minute. And then I saw that video and I saw what was going on, and the possibilities just started firing off in your head about, hang on a minute, this is getting really, really serious now. For $30 upgrade, this looks great. Look, I must admit, I'm waiting for them to do one thing, which is being able to send MIDI out of VCV Rack, so you can then use any kind of CV envelopes you're generating in VCV, send that into Logic or Ableton.
Okay, I didn't know they couldn't do that. Right.
Yeah, that's not there to my understanding, and I believe it's due in the next big update, because we're still on version 0.62.
Yes,
I think we haven't even made it to version 1 yet, so I think it's meant to be coming in version 1. But awesome work. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess, Yoad, I know, because you have a modular system in your studio, and you've told us several times in the past that, you know, it tends to not necessarily get used much because of the time it takes. I mean, I guess with something like this, you could set up a kind of really interesting path and have it recallable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing to remember though is that since you're interfacing with the VST plugins which are inside the host via their automation points, because the host doesn't have the API from the different manufacturers, so the only way to interface with the different parameters are through the automation points. And if you then try to automate the cutoff at high rates and things like that, you should expect some glitches, because the filters and other parameters are not designed to work at high rates through the automation interface. So this is one, because it doesn't go straight to the process, it goes to the alg, and you know, it's the way it's constructed means that there are some limitations. But I'm sure that it can be. I mean, what I'm more interested in is the hybrid kind of way of doing things. For instance, if you if you take a VCA, CV to MIDI, and then you can control parameters like the position of a wavetable in a digital synth, like the Waldorf, the Q, or the wave. What's it called? The orange one.
Yes, I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, I see what you mean. You need
so
you need
that's the kind
like
of
expert
thing,
sleepers interface or something like that. That's the thing that really brings
something like
these
that,
sort of
and
things
then you
alive.
run it, and then yeah, because what I want to basically ultimately create is a complete hybrid modular system where I can use the oscillator from the Minimoog, send it through even a digital filter or something like that, which is controlled by CV through MIDI and things like that, and then run it back to. So that's the kind of thing, tinkering on a daily basis with stuff on the screen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So and building modular or making modular patches is almost like developing a product in a way. You know
Yeah, I
what
see what you
So
mean. Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, that's the way certainly a lot of the big, the Devines and Colin Benders, people who kind of gig and turn up. I guess to a certain extent, you, Matt. When you're doing planning for a performance, you're essentially creating a kind of one-off workflow patch with the accumulated knowledge and wisdom that you have from operating that system. But it's very much of the moment, isn't it? Whereas incorporating VCV Rack, you can actually bring some of that back to a degree. I mean, it's also fair to say that Softtube do one, and it is. It is a slightly higher quality, and it's a paid for product, but you get, the quality of the oscillators and the audio rate modulation is higher quality. But with VCV Rack, there's probably more modules to get to. So if you're not looking for those specific things, even though they've got some great emulations. Yeah,
just going back to this point about, when you go out and play live, you're making a one-off performance and that's it. And I've had people say to me before, what if you write a track, Matt, and it goes out and it becomes successful, or people go, oh, I really like that one. Do that one live. Can you do that again with your modular? Well, I'm going to be doing a bit of a rig rundown with this on YouTube soon, where I'm going to talk about actually how I've spent the past year or so designing a modular that will work in a way so I can replicate stuff. Which I won't go into it now because just so much to go through. But yeah, I've figured out a way so I can go and reproduce stuff live. It might not be the same oscillators, but the same note, pitch, length, tempo, gate, all of that information is retained. If you've got that information, you can essentially then send it out to different oscillators. You'll get different timbres and slightly different timing and what have you. But yeah, it's a ton easier just using a laptop with VCV Rack in it, but it defeats the point for me of the tangible moment and that kind of. But then the other hand, I've done a lot of local gigs, and yes, I do sometimes really enjoy just pulling it apart, putting in some modules that I haven't really thought about using together, and yes, making a 30 to 45 minute one-off piece. It can still be recorded and multi-tracked, and you can record it at the time and release it.
So if you've got a computer there anyway, I suppose that's the it's like...
I've been there, I've done that. The other thing is I've performed with computers before on stage, and there's nothing like playing with your instrument, and I see this as an instrument as much as your guitar, and I can go off on a big rant and tangent about this one, but I definitely come off stage feeling like I've given something to that audience and that they've connected with it by using hardware.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. I mean, I feel the same way, and I think it's a school, isn't it? I don't know what sort of school. I mean, doorless jamming and doorless kind of performance has become a bit of a thing, hasn't it? It's become a bit of a millennial curse to a degree, But it actually is there for a reason. It's not just said big. It's not people being trendy. There is actually, you get a visceral pleasure out of it, which I'm sure you get if you're using computers as well. But there's just the non-repeatability. It depends what you're doing. If you are Lady Gaga, you're not going to go and try and replicate your live setup with a modular system and tour that, because every night would be different, and that's not necessarily what the people who are buying the tickets want. Whereas if you're Colin Benders or Matt or whatever, you do want something a bit different every time, so you know what you're getting. So it's tools for the job and all that.
It's like if you were a jazz musician, you would improvise, and your set will be different every night. It's kind of similar to that in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you create a moment with your instrument, basically.
for performance, but and I think, you know, in the studio, something like VCV Rack, where you've got a really cool workflow that involves modular, either whether it's software or a combination of both, and you'd like to bring that back in the same way that you might have a particular effects chain or a channel strip. You know, it's the sort of, particularly maybe if you're processing external sound, it makes sense to be able to recall it, and this is just another step towards that kind of holy grail. And when they figure out maybe a way of creating the control, in fact, there was, I saw something the other day, somebody done, I can't remember what they were called, they're little modules that you put in your Eurorack module that are just MIDI controllers, so you can create, and you work those with VCV Rack, so that you're actually, that you can map them to other, so they become controllers for that. And so it's dedicated. I really can't, and it was, I wish I could. I'm sure someone, I'll see if I can find it and stick it in the show notes. But yeah, I forget whether it was a Kickstarter thing or not, but I remember it went past. I mean, unfortunately, the last sort of week has been a bit of a blur. I've not really been focused on my day job. I've been focused on not messing up the live event. So yeah, in many ways, it's the antithesis of what we're talking about to a degree. Okay, right, but who the real question is, who wants a synth wristwatch?
Since ancient times, music has been part of the human life, being a method of self-expression and communication. How many times has it happened to you to have a melody inside your head without being able to get rid of it or to express it somehow? Our team has been seeking to develop a portable device that doesn't need heavy machinery or long cables, easy to wear, user-friendly, and at the same time professional, ready to be used outdoor. Why not a wristwatch? That's how the synthwatch idea was born, but not just an idea.
And there it is. It's a really weird concept, this. I mean, there's obviously a lot of money behind this, because this is an expensive video. And I think it's actually built with a kind of proper you know, wristwatch maker from Italy, who I think is that guy, and you know, it's a titanium
2 years
case.
of development can be transformed in reality just with your help. The synthwatch is a portable synthesizer that allows you to express yourself in every moment of your life.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. And then when you see it and you think, actually, isn't that just like an Apple Watch? Couldn't you do that with an Apple Watch? Or there are sort of, it's a really interesting. I remember, Matt, I sent this to you, and you just said, "Is this an April Fool's?" But obviously, it's not April, and it's a bizarre. It's kind of, it feels like somebody who's obviously feels really passionate about it. This is the Audio Weld Synth Watch. It's the world's first wristwatch synthesizer, which I'm not entirely sure is true, because I'm fairly sure Casio did a little digital synth thing a long time ago, so I'm not sure that's entirely true. They're not quite there yet. They've got 34 days to go, and they need 67 grand, and they're at 484 quid, which has actually gone up quite a bit since this afternoon. So maybe it'll pick up as a sort of thing, because I guess the thing about watches is there's a thing, isn't there, with posh watches that just, you know, there's a whole strata of people that will buy novelty and beautifully built things because that's just the way they roll. As a synthesizer user, I'm not quite sure that this is going to deliver the creative experience that perhaps it promises. But it's a weird idea, isn't it? A weird idea.
It's an interesting one. And look, we need people like this in the world who are making these things and putting these ideas into reality. We do. So thank you for doing that. But the whole kind of premise is what they're selling it on is, you've got a melody in your head, you can't get rid of it, you want to express it somehow, or you want to capture it, and then you can work on it later. I mean, that happens to me quite a lot, but I'll sing it into my phone. Yeah, I'll just do that, and then I'll work on it when I get home or whatever. I've got an Apple Watch. I wear it when I remember to charge it up, and to my knowledge, there isn't any apps that.
There's a voice notes thing on it, isn't there?
There's voice notes, yeah, but there's not any sort of keyboard on it, and I think the reason for that is just because it's so small. I mean,
yeah, I mean, this is bigger than an Apple Watch. I was playing. I mean, there is a video, and it's not really.
Yeah, it's not quite grabbing me, that.
It's not sonically kind of quite grabbing. It feels a bit unkind to be so sort of dismissive of it, but I mean, it feels like maybe they've gone a bit early with that video, and they could have got something a bit more grabbing.
Yeah. show us a video that shows more functionality, and this might be over it. And I don't know if you know, it looks like there's an app that goes with this as well, which expands that functionality, which is great. But then
why don't you use the app? Yeah.
Just use the app, that's all. Look, I hope this is going to be brilliant, and I hope it does get off the ground, because there's a lot of things that if they get 100,000 or 200,000 or a million, there's a lot of different things that they're going to unlock as they go through this project as you back it. So I hope they reach that. I hope they get this, and I hope it's absolutely brilliant. But I just can't see me gravitating to this.
No, perhaps not. I don't know. This does feel like a very much of a novelty. It is almost like a kind of jokey topic. But I mean, there's money behind this. There is money.
I was thinking when I saw this video, I was thinking, well, maybe I could take a keyboard app on the phone and Bluetooth it to the watch, so I can play the keyboard on the phone because there's more real estate. And then I thought, well, actually, I can use the keyboard and GarageBand or something like that, and then that's it, So for me, like wearing an extra thing,
it's hard to imagine.
And also, I have to say, I mean, like Matt said, it's a nice kind of gesture or whatever, but I would expect to see something like that much more slick, and even if from a designer's perspective, something like really more that the interface is I don't know,
it looks like it's made of Lego a little bit, doesn't it? Even though the case is titanium. It's really interesting. I mean, a couple of people have gone for it. It's 450 odd euros. It's not a cheap thing. And so they need, even at I mean, they're not offering that many, but they need to basically sell about 150 to get to their 67 grand. So it's not a massive number, but even that I think might be a bit of a stretch, which is a sad thing, because the guy seems really genuine and really passionate about it, and obviously has pulled a team together to make, an expensive video and got all of this stuff together. It's a well-launched Kickstarter. It's just maybe a weird, it's just a bit of a niche product that maybe is going to, not match his expectation, which is a sad thing, I think. But yeah,
they could have maybe looked at developing an app that lives on the Apple Watch, for example, and Android, that could be used in the same way. So there's that they could have maybe looked at, instead of using a traditional keyboard layout, removed that functionality and replaced it with something that was allowed you to kind of tap and put it within a certain key that you want it to stay within, and that kind of thing. More as like well.
A kind of push mapping.
Yeah, like push. Or do you remember the reason? Do you remember the Propeller app that came out not so long ago on iOS, and you just kind of had circles and you just tapped on it and it in key, and it was just a very quick way to just jam out ideas, very intuitive and very in keeping with the size of the device that you was using, like a phone or a tablet. And I thought they've nailed it there. That's the way to do it. And I'm just thought that they could maybe have looked at that as an interface here again.
I'm desperately trying to find this thing. Sorry, you here we go. Now,
you found it.
That was it. Korg wristwatch with mini keys. I don't know if this is a mock-up or whether Korg watches on eBay. I'm going to look at this. Is this true? Korg watch.
They look like super tiny keys, or what?
Best match. Oh wow, not newly listed. Advanced. Oh, I can't remember the thing. I'm sure I'd see one, but I don't know whether it's a real thing.
You kind of want like the glove. Do you remember what Nintendo did? The whole glove with the gamepad on it and all that kind of thing. That always looked really cool to me. That's what I could imagine you'd really want for something like this. If you're really serious on the fly.
Exactly. You need more real estate. You need more a bigger kind of play area, basically, in order to be able to perform in any way. Even to, imagine how long it will take you on that thing to put the notes of your idea in.
Or you could just singing it in, and then have something that can convert your mumblings into like pitch to MIDI.
That'd be excellent.
With a little synth in it.
I mean, you could interface that then with Logic or whatever, and use that as an actual MIDI controller by sort of singing into your watch and it converting it to MIDI in real time. That'd be ace.
I'm desperate. I'm sure that was a thing. I'm just What does it
Which
say
one are you
here?
looking for?
The Korg. There's no, yeah, well, that's somebody just something. I'm sure maybe that's the thing that I'm looking at, and that's what I was thinking there was. Maybe there has not been another synth. I'm fairly sure that VL Tone, there was a VL Tone watch or something like that. I'm just kind of, yeah. Anyway, maybe not. It was played with a toothpick. Yeah, that rings a bell. So it was like a mini stylophone type watch. Yeah, okay. I'm probably looking for something that doesn't exist. Anyway, I thought it was a bit of fun to end on, and I do wish them well. I mean, we're not trying to ridicule them, but it may be that they need to rethink some of the aspects of it to kind of get more people on board, you know, because it's, like I said, there's a lot of stuff. Right. Thanks, guys. That was great fun. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for joining us as well, Yoad. I know you've been feeling a bit under the weather, and you've had your product launch and everything, and I hope it goes well, and congratulations, and all of those good things. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again sometime soon. I very much hope so.
See you later.
And also, Matt, thanks for joining us, and lovely to meet you in real life, where I discovered that you were actually much taller than I suspected. I had a mental image in my mind that we were of a similar height, but you're a very tall chap. So
yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. I could live with that disappointment.
No, great to meet you too, and well done again. And I hope you're going to have a much more relaxed weekend this weekend.
I believe so, although we've just acquired a garage, so I suspect I'm going to be spending the weekend filling it with all the crap from my house, which means we can have more crap in the house because it'll all have gone. So it'll just be, and then from the garage it'll go somewhere, maybe to a shed. I'll probably empty the shed into the garage and and then it'll be.
I can hear a show title in there somewhere. Garage, shed, empty the shed, garage.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Well, there's house music, there's garage music, there's carport music. I'm not sure if we've had shed yet, have we? There must be.
Shed music.
Anyway, don't forget, actually, I should remember to mention, don't forget, if you want to win a copy of Isotopes RX7, we're looking for the hashtag repair-edit and the hashtag RX7 to @Sonicstate and @Isotope Inc. And also, don't forget, synchroarts.com for your... I've got to try and find it now. Let me see. SynchroArts, synchroarts.com. Lots of deals available on SynchroArts. Big savings. So if you're interested in any of those products, head on over and tell them we sent you if there's any chance that they could do that, because it makes us look good. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.